SRM Institute of Science and Technology. Learn, leap, and lead.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Rita.
Good morning, Geeta. Good morning, Rosh. And good morning, Professor
Good morning.
Good morning.
Wonderful having you all here, connecting with you on a weekend morning to discuss a topic that to me is evolving and slightly intriguing. We are going to talk today on the new age managers and how they are going to lead in an era that's driven by AI. And I think that are we going ahead? Dr. Venkatesh Lakshmi Narasimhan, can we go ahead? All right. So we are going to talk on a topic, the new age manager leading in an AI-driven and uncertain world. I am with about 2 decades and a little more experience. I think I am among a group of shrinking reporters in this country who still uses a pen and a scribbling pad. That is how technology has evolved in the last 25 years in the area of media. And I'm sure in management, it's no different. organizations are becoming more tech-driven, and technology has become an integral part of organizations. And managers, I suppose, professionals across sectors, we are becoming agile and more adaptable to technology. And I'm sure this is the scenario across different scales of organizations, startups, corporates, MSMEs, and also in different sectors. This has also led to organizations and enterprises turning flat. Decision making is faster and is enabled with real-time data now. And be it manufacturing or the service sector, data generation is also getting integrated into the larger system. It's no more a standalone, activity. So it is in this context that we have three experts who have deep expertise and experience in their respective fields, and who are going to throw light to us on how this integration of human expertise and technology, a balanced blend of both, how this is going to drive businesses in this era of technology, AI, or IoT, data, and all that, and what it means at ground zero, because they are all active and practicing experts. So let us start with Geeta Ramamurthy. She's the chairperson of the Tamil Nadu chapter of the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce. She was earlier the managing director and vice president of KBR India, and managing about 3,000 people in that organization. Hello, Geeta. Glad to have you here this morning. And she has experience across sectors: manufacturing, finance, engineering, and technology. That's amazing. I can't imagine how one can manage so many different sectors. And she's known for her transformational leadership and focus on growth mindset. She's an advocate of total inclusion, innovation, and talent development. So Geeta, let me start with probably quite a basic subject. Even when technology evolves and it grows, I think center of it remains the human resource. So according to you, what is the importance of human resource in this age of technology? It's not just technology, it's like it's part of any organization, and what are your views on that?
Sure. Thank you, first of all, Soundarya, for the very kind introduction. And first of all, at the outset, I'd like to thank the Hindu and SRM IST for having me here and giving me the opportunity to be part of this panel with distinguished speakers. So first of all, before I throw light on what humans are what's the role humans are playing in the current era of AI adoption and the uncertainties around us, I just want to place before everyone a couple of facts around AI adoption. So recently, in an interview, Mr. Sundar Pichai, who is the CEO of Google, said that 75% of the code in Google currently is being generated by AI, compared to about 50% in 2025 and about 25% in 2024. So we can see that in certain areas, AI is indeed making rapid advancements, especially in coding. On another note, there was a report recently in MIT Sloan wherein they shared that majority of AI pilots today are not moving into production. And to be precise, 58% of pilots don't go into production automatically. 70% of projects around AI typically have failed in the last couple of years or so, and only 25% have reached or realized the desired ROI, return on investment, and out of that, only 16% get to really be scaled at enterprise level. So these are two different distinct sets of information that I want to place before us, because I want us to take away from this that definitely AI is making inroads into various areas. It is disrupting industries. It is changing the way people do their work. However, the pace of adoption is varying. And the one thing that I want to mention here is that the role of people, especially as managers in this era, has evolved and changed quite rapidly, and it continues to change. What does it mean for humans? So what does AI do? What can it do and what it can't do? So let us look at that first of all. So AI can carry out or supplement the work that people do in some areas, like I mentioned, coding, report generation, analytics, predictive analytics in manufacturing facilities, predictive maintenance. In the healthcare industry, it can do analytics based on patient data and suggest a more curated and customized, treatment for individuals. It can identify individuals at high risk in healthcare. Also, customer behavior prediction is something it can do because there's vast amounts of data through various sources that it can, get trained on. And at the same time, generative AI can help produce content at speed and scale. I mean, all of you, the students, and maybe I won't just be very biased here, many of us, whether we are seniors or juniors, we're all actually embracing AI in different ways, but we need to do it at scale. So we know that, AI can be used for multiple things. Actually, today, I also want to mention that it's the IPL season. And if any of you is using a smart TV, to catch up with the sports or catch up with the IPL matches, you'll see that every now and then there's a pop-up which says Google AI mode, and it also analyzes. I think I was seeing Jewel, one of the players in one of the teams, saying, "How does it help if Jewel comes in at number 5?" So it processes information at speed and at scale, and I think that's the power of AI. However, let's also recognize that what AI doesn't have is lack of emotional intelligence. It lacks emotional intelligence. It doesn't have the ability to do critical thinking. It really can't empathize yet, and it can't actually take a judgment. It provides you with huge amount of information. It can provide somebody with multiple options in terms of, whether it's images or videos or content, but the ultimate decision has to be taken by humans. And this is where the human's role becomes very critical. Because using AI, we can all produce world-class services, solutions, and products. So for example, going back to the Google story, every line of coding in Google, even though it is generated by AI, is being validated. It's being checked by an engineer. So the role of humans in this process has changed from being executors to becoming supervisors and maybe partners along with AI, and sometimes orchestrators of workforce where apart from humans, AI agents are also part of the workforce. And this is not theory. Today, there are organizations like Salesforce which are actually doing it. They have embedded, AI agents as part of their workforce because there is so much that people can take advantage of in terms of improvement in productivity, improvement in efficiency. So that's the key thing. So as humans, I think we have to realize that the shift has happened. We can't just be executors. We can't just, take data, analyze, report, and maybe present some trends. So that can be easily done by AI and AI agents. Where do we need to bring our intelligence? So we need to actually go a step further. We need to really be able to draw judgment from there. We need to be able to innovate using AI, and we should be able to add more value. It could be new solutions, new ways of doing things, opening new revenue streams for the business, unlocking potential from existing products or expanding the product portfolio. There is so much more we can do, and for us to do that, there are some things I feel that we need to do differently, which is to stay relevant. We shouldn't see this as a challenge, but everyone should see this as an opportunity. And the key pivot, I think this is what I want to repeat, is moving from being an executor to becoming a strategic thinker and a cross-functional team player. So today, the lines are getting blurred. They're talking about chief information and chief technology officer and a human resource officer or a chief people manager. All of these lines are getting blurred. Everyone is dealing with data and everyone is assessing and processing information. But how do we apply that sensibly to be able to come up with the right insights that can help leadership, that can help management take the right decisions? So this is very important. And the third point I want to mention is you just can't wish away the fact that you need to have a learning mindset. You can't say that, okay, I've done these qualifications, I'm an engineer, or I've done my medical, I've been in the medical profession, whatever it may be, and I have these years of experience, and so I'm going to be good for the next 15 years. No, so things are changing, and you need to continuously adapt yourself, embrace AI and other technologies. It's not just about taking training courses, which are essential, but if you're really passionate, you will read articles related to that. You will listen to podcasts. You will be part of events, conferences. You need to really have that curiosity and thirst for, acquiring knowledge. And important, if you're a manager, take your teams along, provide them the training opportunities. help them to figure out how can they work along with AI. And I think the key is that yes, some roles are disappearing. We are reading about some, redundancies in some organizations and some sectors. But then let's not use a broad brush to say, a lot of roles are at risk. What are the kind of roles are at risk? People need to understand. So where rule-based, kind of activities, or where the data can be fed into the machine and the algorithms, and they can simply run on that and produce the results. Those are some part of the transactional activities today that are getting disrupted. And yes, agentic AI is able to autonomously carry out some tasks. But remember, as I said, new roles are getting created, like AI prompt engineer, AI product manager, AI ethics consultant, algorithm developer, and so on and so forth. So I think that evolution is happening. For humans, what does it mean? So, like I said, have a learner's mindset. Make sure not just you, but also your team is trained and prepared for this change, and foster a culture of fail fast and innovation. Because when we are learning these technologies, no one has got it all. No company can claim that 100% they are AI fight, right? I mean, it's still a journey. So allow them to take small pilots, fail fast, learn from it, and innovate. I think for India to succeed, we are right now using technology that's built somewhere else. We need to build technology in India, more technology in India. We need to have IP creation, more IP creation, and we need to build in India for the world. And I think for all this to happen, we have a huge opportunity. And whether it's students or young early career professionals or people who are in their mid careers, there's still so much potential for us all to collaborate and do this. So, success mantra will be staying curious, staying adaptable, and be ready to reinvent your career every 4 to 5 years. So, I'll probably take a pause here and hand it back to you, Preeta.
Thank you, Geeta. That was insightful, and the point that you made that managers should move from being executors to supervisors or partners of AI. So that means redefining their roles, right? Uh, 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 how does it actually happen, especially at the mid-management level? Do you see that happening across sectors and across organizations? How is it?
Yes, absolutely. A very, very pertinent question, I think, Soundarya. And I think in some sectors, they have made huge inroads. Like, for example, if you take pharma, healthcare companies, they have made a lot of progress on that. And even in traditional old economy industries like oil and gas, so I'm leading a team in oil and gas sector, where usually they are very risk averse in terms of ensuring that, there is no compromise on safety because it's a safety critical industry. But then people are realizing that the disruption is happening. And rather than looking at the risks associated with adopting AI or using AI led decisions, what we are doing in the middle management level is to help them understand how do you lead in an era. So organizations like NASCOM have stolen a march over the rest in India, if you see, and they are writing the playbooks around how organizations can reinvent their business models and operating models using AI. So I've been fortunate to be part of the NASCOM Executive Council, and in their playbooks they talk about three things. I think workforce readiness, the architecture, as well as reinventing the business model itself. So look at your workflows, look at how do you collaborate with the wider ecosystem. So here it's about this dismantling this myth and fear that people have in the middle management levels, because there's always a nervousness that oh, do I need to learn something, will I get it, will I succeed? So I think the leadership should walk the talk. They should take that next step to say that I'll support you in your learning and development, and bring the next levels along, provide opportunities for them to work as a cross generational, cross functional team. It won't happen on its own. You have to be intentional about it, Soundarya. And I'm seeing that happening. I'm not saying that we have seen huge progress there, but I think quite a few organizations are taking those initial steps. The ones that are not the early movers, but somewhere in between, they are taking those early steps to say, time has come. I want to look at my re-engineering my processes, but at the same time, I want to see how I can upskill my workforce to make sure they can deliver the same work much more with better accuracy, with greater value, with better efficiency, and perhaps come up with more innovative solutions that will finally, benefit our customers. So that's happening. But I think this journey will get much, much more quicker in time to come, because technology is outpacing the pace at which organizations are preparing themselves. So yeah, so that's really my response at the moment.
Thank you, Geeta. Thank you. We will come back to you during the discussions. Rosh, good morning and glad to have you here. I hope we are not disrupting your vacation.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Okay.
It's a pleasure.
Rosh is the global head of corporate marketing at Virtusa, and he has a rich experience across geographies also, Asia Pacific, Americas. He has worked in different segments, and he constantly interacts with and also different areas: banking, financial services, insurance, healthcare. We also have Roche is also, he has held leadership roles at Microsoft, Wipro, Xerox, and so on. So, Roche, I just want to, ask you about, continue the conversation from Geeta. Organizations are investing heavily in technology now, not as standalone solutions, but to become a part of the whatever activity that they are doing, be it finance or testing or production, different areas. In such a scenario, how do you think this rapid change of technology, AI is a broader term. There is also a very rapid change of tools, and there are new tools coming up. How do you think managers can become more agile, adaptable to such a rapidly evolving situation when it comes to technology? That's one. And another one with what Geeta concluded, managers are now, I think, expected to become more innovative. So the importance of an innovation in the system of decision making. Waiting to hear from you on these two.
Yeah, thanks, Preeta. Thanks to SRM University and the Hindu for having me be part of this panel. Thanks to my co-panelists as well. It's a privilege to do this webinar with all of you as well as the audience. Geeta did cover the entire AI spectrum really well, Geeta. I think if we had to stop the webinar right now and complete, and it would be complete, right? So it makes Professor Vinay's job and my job even more challenging. But I'm going to give this a try. I think it's more like a story and especially for the students on this call, right? Those who are going to embrace the workforce, who have recently embraced the workforce. The change is not something that is new to mankind. If you look over the last 150 years, you've seen, the Industrial Revolution, right? Factory automation where muscle was replaced by machine. And then it went on to standardization, where quality kind of was achieved, right? Consistency, predictability, quality. And then you had productivity tools introduced somewhere around 50 years back, in terms of things as simple as a typewriter or a calculator, right? Or a fax machine. And that was the AI of the 70s, I guess, late 60s, 70s. And then, of course, we had collaboration tools, which is computers, which we are all familiar with, email, shared documents, etc., right? What has happened over the last 20, 25 years is cloud, ERP, business intelligence, enterprise applications. So it has enabled the enterprise to really reach out globally, to kind of tell their story better, etc. A lot of benefits. And of course, now you have what we are discussing today is robotics and AI, right? And not just AI, it's agentic AI. I think that's the new buzzword within corporate and across countries, etc. Everyone knows the word agentic AI now. It's no more, you don't have to explain it to your relatives back home, right? Who are not so exposed to the corporate world. I think the difference now is that agentic AI is helping us make decisions, right? And that's the part which was not addressed earlier. And I'm going to give you an analogy so that and this is my experience with the AI and agentic AI, right? And we all wear watches on our wrists. The first time I wore a watch, it had dials and it told me the time, right? Then I got a watch which maybe around 10, 12 years back, which told me that, which gave me data. It gave me the number of steps I walked in a day. It told me how many calories I burned, which is a rough calculation. Told me the distance I covered. And I was damn happy with that data. Hey, I felt happy about, if I did 5 kilometers a day. And I think most of us here do. The third watch that I had was something that monitored my body parameters, right? So it moved from data to physical parameters, right? It tells me, and I continue to wear it. It tells me my heart rate. It tells me my SpO2. Even tells me collision detection. If I fall, it sends an alarm to my near and dear ones, right? And now there's a new watch, which is in a way, similar to how agentic AI is, right? There are different ones. There's a Whoop, there's an Aura, which goes beyond. It goes into physiological, right? It tells me my biological age, and which is different from my actual age. On a good couple of weeks or a good couple of months, it kind of lowers my age. And when I have not been taking care of my health, it kind of says, hey, you're not X, you're X plus something. It prescribes my sleep. It says, you've not been sleeping well for the last week. And I think you need to catch up on your sleep. It tells me when to work out and when not to work out, right? And hey, like agentic AI, do I listen to all of these details all the time? Or do any of us listen to these details? Not really. You absorb it and you say, yes, of course. You're aware that, your resting heart rate has gone high because you've not been sleeping. And you're aware that you've got to, take it easy. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to, you're going to leave everything and go to sleep, right? And I think that's the human element that really comes into AI. And as leaders, as users, whatever you call it, we all have to kind of adapt and make sure that AI is not controlling you and you're controlling AI, right? Whether in the corporate world or whether in your personal lives. So coming back, Rita, to your question, I think if I had to divide this into three parts, right? There are the shifts that are happening, the challenges, and the right way forward. So in terms of the shifts that are happening in corporate, we see this across most organizations. AI has rapidly sort of permeated across organizations. We see organizations now signing contracts with LLM providers, right? And most of the companies, most of the corporates, at least in the tech space, the IT sector, tend to have every employee tends to have access to AI, right? Whether it is ChatGPT or whether it's Google Gemini or even now with Anthropic's Claude, etc. So I think the accessibility, the availability of AI is not a challenge anymore. Though it's expensive, organizations have figured a way out. The second one we see is training. I think organizations provided this, some of the forward-thinking organizations provided this a while back, but are now also training their employees on the same, right? And hey, how do you prompt? How do you go about getting the best of this is tool that we provided you? I think that's happening. And I think the third part is organizations are giving employees a space to experiment, and not all, but and not all critical roles. But I think at a leadership level, we do see a lot of encouragement across organizations where leaders and employees are provided with a lot of elbow room to kind of say, what can you do with AI, right? So that's on the shifts happening now. I think the challenges that are slowing us down, despite all of what's happened so far, is adaptability. There's a lot of unlearning to be done to learn, right? And we are stuck in our ways. The muscle memory is so strong that we don't want to adapt AI. And I find that with me, and I'm sure if you guys think hard, you will find it with you, right? There are so many benefits of AI, but sometimes you just forget about using it, and you're doing it the hard way, which is time consuming and a little more. You got to actually, it's hard work, right? You could be doing something better. I think that's the first challenge, the whole adaptability. I think practice and the right use ethically. One is you need to practice, because as you get more familiar and more comfortable with the tool or with the set of tools and the apps that you have, it kind of gets easier to use, right? Ethical use is so important, right? If you try and as a just some humor, I think if you this came out as a huge case in point where someone asked one of the AI LLMs saying, "How do you make a bomb?" right? And that's in terms of keeping in mind with the ethical part of it, the LLM said, no, this is something that this is not good, this is unethical, you shouldn't make a bomb, we want to help you with it. So that person put a query, okay, what should I do to not make a bomb? And like they go on saying, okay, you should not use this chemical and you should not use this. And, it actually reverse engineer the whole recipe to make a bomb, right? And that's why if you are clever at prompting, you can really go beyond the boundaries that AI currently has. So how do you do it? Use it ethically. I think that's very important for us as leaders and for us as individuals as well. And there's a shifting goalposts, right? What was new 2 years back? So for using an example, right? ChatGPT was the hot new kid on the block. And then you had Anthropic with Claude come as now the hot new kid on the block, right? And then you have Agentic coming out. And then you have a whole host of applications that are kind of available for you to use, right? Spot applications for certain use cases. So I think that's another challenge in terms of the shifting goalposts. You've got to continuously keep yourself abreast of what's going on. And in terms of the right way forward, I think the first thing you need to do before you think of you as a manager, you as a leader, or your organization is, are you using AI for your own productivity? When I say that, are you taking the help of an AI tool to manage your calendar? Are you summarizing meeting notes, right? Minutes of meeting, or are you putting in the notes, typing it, keying it the way you did it traditionally? Follow-ups, right? Decision dashboards. Are you manually getting those dashboards ready when you have reviews with your leaders, or are you taking the help of AI to prepare those dashboards? And research says that managers typically lose 20-25 hours a week. So that's 4 to 5 hours a day doing these mundane tasks. So if you're able to automate all of this, and it doesn't take too long, right? Am I fully automated? No, I'm not. But have I released some of my time back to do other stuff? Of course, yes. So those are easy, low-hanging fruits where you can hand that over to AI, right? And do stuff which is more relevant to you. I think once you have more time on your hand, what do you do with that time? So, obviously don't go and play pool or, don't go and watch a movie because, you've got to progress ahead as a leader, manager, or even as an employee, right? So I think there's this whole white spaces in what we do as functional leaders or whatever the responsibility that you have in your respective organization. So identifying those white spaces and then seeing how you can add value, how you can probably introduce a whole bunch of stuff which your team or your organization hasn't done before. I think that's an area that we found a lot of success in, and that's this whole channelizing AI in the right direction makes a lot of sense, right? Let me give you an example. At this point in time, enterprises use and the capabilities of any of the LLMs, so any of the AI tools, up to a max of 1% of their capabilities, right? And we yet see so much of productivity gains. Imagine if you move that 1% to say 5%, or ideally 10% of all that tool or the AI, agentic AI is capable of. Imagine the gains for not only for your organization, for you as an individual, for your team, and if channelized in the right way, for humanity as well. I think that's an area which is undiscovered. There's so much more to do with AI beyond doing traditional stuff that there's a lot of potential there. The third part is, doubling down on authenticity, right? And keeping in mind emotional intelligence. So sometimes you get so used to AI doing stuff that you kind of want to, let it do. And at some stage it gets to be a different animal altogether, right? But you got to think of AI as, this very well-informed exec assistant or, someone who can enable you with data, help you with taking off mundane tasks. But you got to keep that exec assistant channelized, right, in the right direction. And you got to make sure that it's not all machine and code dictating what you do, but you decide on what is the right way to go forward. You sometimes have to step in with empathy, right? and not just look at things from what the LLM or the software has thrown out. I think that's super important, and being authentic. And there are multiple examples of companies which have tried to embrace AI in its fullest without keeping this in mind, and it's been they've had repercussions, right? We see that at the individual level and at the corporate level as well. So many times you've seen folks who have speeches or who post something on Twitter. I think I'm not going to take names, but recently a president of a very large democracy, which is involved in the war, had another prime minister post something on Twitter, and the AI heading was there, and he'd forgotten to delete it, right? So embarrassing for that country and for that prime minister. So you've got to make sure that you're clever on this and using AI for your benefit, but not having AI take over who you are and decide you as an individual, right? I think keeping these three things in mind in terms of the three using AI as your personal layer, white spaces and empathy and emotional intelligence is really critical. If you really have to look at getting the best from AI. I'm going to pause, Preeta. I said a lot. So.
Yeah, thank you, Rosh. Thank you so much. But it was very informative. I think you have addressed a lot of questions that were on even in my mind. So yeah, we will come back with questions, and before that, let us listen to Professor Vinay. Professor Vinay, thank you so much. First, it's a privilege for the Hindu to work with the SRM Institute and organize the series of webinars on the future and career opportunities, and how the young minds can get insights into what they're going to step into, a whole new world that they're going to step into. Professor Vinay is just want to introduce Professor Vinay. He has 25 years experience. He's the Pro VC Science and Humanities Management of SRM Institute. He was earlier Professor of Finance at IIM Lucknow. And in his career, he has worked a lot on innovative course designs, on curriculum reappraisal and successful training programs, which I think is very key now. So thank you, Professor, for this opportunity for the Hindu to collaborate with the SRM Institute. And I truly envy you because you work with young minds and young talents. I think they hold the promise for the future. As you train these new leaders, and we listened to Geeta and we have heard Rosh now. Just wanted to ask you, what are the guardrails that these new age leaders should have when they step into an organization that is constantly investing in technology? And for those who are already in the profession, in such an evolving situation, what kind of training programs would be helpful for them to keep abreast with the new technologies and tools?
Thank you, Soundarya. It's a pleasure joining you today. And I think we're discussing, a very important and relevant topic today. And it's always a pleasure to, join the Hindu, the media partner in these engagements. And, we're delighted to be partners in this. I'll give you a brief thing about what I used to do back at IIM Lucknow. I was training, a lot of executives from, prestigious organizations around the world. I traveled around the world for these purposes, training in various contexts. And as a management teacher and a trainer, it's quite difficult. You can't possibly take something that worked, 5 years ago back to the classroom. And then all the senior guys are there in your classroom and they want some takeaway. In executive programs, typically they want some, reskilling components that they can possibly take back and then use it in their work life in a certain way. So it's quite challenging, and technology disruptions are quite dramatic in our business, especially in management teaching. You got to recontextualize curriculum in a very dramatic way. And both Geeta and Rasha gave a really very good perspective about how skills are changing, and skills are supposed to be for managers. And I'd like to, AI is going to be there, even though AI, the anticipation that AI is going to replace a lot of workforce and become a profitable intervention is yet to have that reality is slightly distant as of now, but it's going to happen. I mean, in the sense that AI is going to be there, and as a technological intervention, as a tool, is going to be there. Now, how do we see skills in this new age is the question, And I feel that, while AI is going to see the basic this thing in management, we say that one should be knowing, doing, and then being. These are the three components of curriculum. You should be knowing things, and then you should be doing things, and then when you repeatedly do something, you become that, in a certain way. So all of these three things are changing. What you should know is not what was there 20 years ago or 10 years ago. It's changing quite dramatically. And what you should be doing, and that is also changing, because now technology intervention, I'll give you an example. A lot of managers used to do analytical stuff. In other words, Excel modeling and data, how data stuff is supposed to be repurposed, and so that you have meaningful alternatives developed and things like that. And then the question of how do we take what is the right decision? Of course, the decision is the most important thing. But before decision, there were a lot of other things that managers were involved. Now with AI, a lot of analytical framework is not, AI can actually take over that, as long as you understand prompt engineering and you get skilled in prompt engineering. You can do much of the analytical stuff, and it can be done by AI. But judgment is something that you still have to do. Okay, and these are not the teams that you will be. The managers were managing teams of a certain kind in the yesteryears. The teams are changing now, in the sense that control was one of the main managerial attributes. Coaching is going to be the attribute now. It's not going to be control anymore. Okay, you can't be controlling the time of people now. In a certain sense, what should be the work timing of who should work at what time and how we should collaborate and things. Now it is not about who is working how many hours. The manager should be looking at what is the cognitive load of the team. As a leader, now I should understand, hey, who can take what type of cognitive complexity? And what is the collective cognitive complexity that we are handling? And how do we deal with the load that we have? It's not about time anymore. Because if you can actually manage it properly, then what happens is you are actually driving outcomes in a much better way. The control paradigms are shifting to coaching paradigms. Okay. And, we were saying that, empathy should be one of the key things. But now people talk about radical empathy. In the sense, so in other words, the all-knowing manager, the all-knowing leader is no more the all-knowing leader. Okay. The leader is also vulnerable and can do mistakes. And admitting mistakes in a team is a skill. And that vulnerability is giving ideas. Others are actually becoming empathetic to you, and then as a team we are actually thinking. And now that vulnerability was not a strength now, but vulnerability could be a strength now. So I'm saying that, a lot of these complexities are not going to be handled by AI. And AI is necessary skill, but managerial skills are, the redefined managerial skills are going to be much, much more needed, and they require, the management programs should have these skills built in management programs, and people should be actually reworking on problems like this. Now, I'll give you a small example. We hired a professor in a department, and in a few months, the professor thought that she's not going to work, and she's put in her papers. Now, in the usual kind of this thing, everybody is taking choices, and everybody is in. But apparently, there is some other complexity not related to purely professional matters, but mainly some politics. Now, I had the opportunity to understand this. Now, if it was to be a typical talent management, this person will leave, but some other person is going to replace, right? Now, that's not the way I think managers should be now thinking. Managers should be thinking, what is the fix that can actually happen within the team so that the person can still work? And, can we do something so that we can actually retain that person rather than, letting her go? And so those thinking processes, if you don't have, you can't build teams, because this generation is also like that. It's not like the spontaneity with which some of these decisions are taken, and this generation is also quite different in the way they deal with things. So I think the newer teams are going to require much complex ways of actually managing, and all of it is actually human skill. And all of this needs to happen in the curriculum, within the classroom and outside the classroom. And this is the future of management education, I feel. And AI is not going to replace these skills anytime soon.
Thank you, Professor Vinay. I think you have partly answered a lot of questions that have come up on our panel. So I just want to, summarize those questions, and if Geeta, Rosh, and Professor Vinay can quickly give a sharper response to that. I think all of it is asking whether AI will replace human activity, or will different roles of men in an organization. So starting with Geeta, can we have, I know all of you have touched on that when you spoke, but still if you can give a quicker and sharper response to, I've just bunched the 7 or 8 questions into one. I think all of them are related to the same thing. Will AI replace XYZ? So Geeta, yeah, to start with you.
Sure. Thank you. Wonderful to listen to my co-panelists, Rosh and Professor Vinay Kumar. And thank you, Preeta, for framing that question. When I glance through the questions, I think while we have addressed this particular aspect in each of our sessions or our speeches, I think the key question is nobody knows what is the next development in technology. So 4 years back, actually, we were not talking about generative AI, and then generative AI came into being, the ChatGPT by OpenAI, and then many other companies like DeepSeek and Anthropic followed suit. Today we're talking in the last 1 year, 1.5 years about agentic AI. Tomorrow it can be something else. So this is not the last invention. There will be new inventions and then progression in terms of new technologies. The key thing is they're not going to replace us, because in 2000 people talked about Y2K as a big shift, and that's the big thing on the horizon. Everything else goes out of the way. Everyone adapted. People adapted to the new technology. It's not like completely populations became totally unemployable. I think we will always find ways to quickly pick up skills and continue to remain relevant. But I think there will be some roles that will get made redundant in a way, as in those tasks can be performed by AI or agentic AI, but we will have to pick up new skills to really contribute to the next phase of technology. So I think it's a natural process. What people were doing in mainframe maybe 15-20 years back, they're not doing it today. So that's a natural law of nature, but doesn't mean that people have to think that, business analysts will completely cease to exist. They will be business analysts plus AI. You can be a mid-level manager who is managing a finance function plus AI. So I think that's how I see it, at least in the nearer term. And so I think, yeah, we've got to take the fear out of us, but make sure that we take every effort to keep upskilling ourselves.
Rosh?
Yeah, Preeta. Hi, Geeta. That's so apt. I think makes a lot of sense. So again, you do a great job, and I'll have to figure out a different way to spin this, right? And I can't think of a better example than a person or the driver of a car, right? If you looked at, say, 15 years back, you had a car which was with gears, and you didn't have Google Maps or Apple Maps or any of these maps. In fact, I remember 20 years back, there used to be a map book kept in the car, which opens up, and you actually either you ask people as to where you want to go, or you look at that map, right? Today, we don't have to do that. In fact, my son doesn't know what map booklet is. For him, it's something which is just he can't imagine that we used to use maps. But if you think back on the driver of that car, he was very skilled because he had to operate a geared car, and he had to know places, right? Using those maps, etc. Today, you don't have a geared car. I mean, most people buying a car buy an automatic car, which makes driving a little more easy, right? You have Google Maps and all of the other providers, which also makes the fact navigating easy. But for example, Google Maps will throw up 2, 3 options, and it's only the driver's experience. What makes a good driver from an average driver? It's his experience saying, hey, if we go via K.R.Puram today, today's Monday, it's office day, that's the worst place to go. We will go via the city, which no one would ever think of going through, right? But that's the experience that a driver brings to the table. And if you come closer back to the industry that we are in, if you look at, people said it is AI means the end, agentic AI means the end of the BPO industry, the call center industry, right? In fact, AI has aided the BPO industry in a phenomenal way. So the basic call center work of trying to address very foundational issues gets done by that agentic AI or the bot, right? And then there is a decision to be made whether to send to human or not, right? And the bot, there are certain scenarios where the bot says, okay, now we need to put this to a call center agent. And when that call center agent comes online, he or she is acting with empathy, emotional intelligence, etc., to make sure that experience has been great. So not all enterprises have moved on to it, but they are moving. But does that mean the call center job is gone? No, of course not. So in fact, it has helped skill that call center executive to a different level, right? Or for that matter, the driver analogy. And this goes for any sort of skill or job that there is. It's never going to go. It's just that it's going to be reformatted, and you need to upskill and cross-skill for that.
Thank you, Rosh. Thank you. Professor Vinay, there are a couple of questions addressed to you on whether the traditional management courses would become obsolete. And another is, as a management educator, do you agree that the human factor, which is prioritizing mental well-being and productivity as mutually coexisting for leadership? So those two are addressed to you, Professor.
I'll tell you there are quite dramatic changes in the curriculum, the typical MBA was a 2-year program. You still have the 2-year model, and then there are 1-year models. Now there are 10 months models, and then for instance, there is the way we used to teach economics. Okay, it completely changed the way it is handled now in business schools. In fact, much of economics is not even taught. Okay, there are components in economics which are micro and macro. Those components are taught in a very short course, and some programs don't even have these courses anymore. And so, in other words, how are we basically rethinking skilling as a as an issue, that changed it quite dramatically. And earlier the management education was quite templated, structured, and the subjects across business schools, you used to find parallels. Now that's not true at all. Look at within India. I think that the typical MBA program offered by all IIMs, they're not same. Every IIM has a different program, and every IIM has a different perspective also in terms of how program outcomes are supposed to be achieved and that. And then you have 1 year MBAs also for senior executives. But essentially, usually what happens is, people do MBA and there's something called a second MBA. Okay, maybe after 10, 15 years, people revisit the whole thing and go to a business school again to get trained. So sometimes that's not possible. So you keep reskilling yourself in various short management programs, and all IIMs do it, and all business schools around the world do it. So skilling was always an issue, and it is with various technology interventions and disruptions, it changed the way we actually started skilling managers. So that's going to change even further. It's not going to be the constant. It was not constant earlier. It's not going to be constant now. But I told you, in the new age managerial framework, how managers are supposed to be handling issues, the human aspect is there, okay? But technology is going to replace some skills quite dramatically. I was telling you, the analytical space can completely be taken over by AI. And already we have agentic AI and generative AI giving you some very credible solutions within that space, But ethics, judgment, final decisions, and taking responsibility for decisions, I think still is going to be handled by humans. And I mean, whether AI is going to really replace managerial talent, that needs to be seen. Of course, a few months back, there was an article in Harvard Business Review that there is a possibility that middle-level managers will also be replaced, because much of middle-level managers have to do with they are in the business of providing analytical options. Now, if at all that's the type of skill that you have, probably you should reskill and then take leadership options, and you should basically participate in the leadership decision making. Otherwise, what happens is some of these routine things can be replaced by AI, and that is the argument of the article that I was referring to. So reskilling is going to be there, and continuous learning is essential. It is a skill in itself, actually, and I think that should be part of one's toolbox all the time.
Thank you, Professor. So we have about 10 more minutes for discussion, and if there are questions, please do post them on the panel so that our panelists can address them. There's one for Rosh. Just wanted to check with you if you can answer this. There's a question whether we see integration of ecological limits as a mandatory baseline for management curriculum, or should it remain a specialized elective? Do you want to take that, Rosh?
Yeah, I can give it a shot, because I have, when you say ecological limits, I'm assuming it's the whole ESG and that piece, right? I think it definitely has to be a part of the curriculum, because it is a part of discussions at a board level, right? Most boards are discussing this. You look at all of the Fortune 500 companies, majority of them have ESG embedded into their business model, right? It's no more a budget item that the CFO looks at and says, hey, this is something that maybe we can postpone for another year or two. It is an important budget item. In fact, most CFOs tend to own the ESG agenda, right? In most many of the corporates. So I think if you're seen as a company which is giving back to the environment, giving back to the community, right? You have better prospects at getting clients, right? Clients love you because they say, okay, you're a community with a soul and a heart, right? And you're not just focused on business. Employees love you, right? And they say, hey, if it's a decision between company A and company B, and company B is focused on also giving back to the environment and the community, with everything else being equal, the obvious answer is company B, right? So I think, and of course, investors and the other peripheral sort of network around corporates or enterprises love you, right? If you're a startup, again, there is somewhere you're involved and you kind of have a green agenda as part of your overall agenda, it works really. And to forget all the benefits, we got to leave this place in a better position than when we got it, right? For our generations to come. That's so important. So
Thank you, Raj.
sorry, Preeta, but to conclude, yes, it should be part of the curriculum,
Okay.
without a doubt. It should be part of the it should be part of someone's sort of and if there's some way the curriculum can manage.
Okay. Geeta, there's one question addressed to you. I think you can answer it live on the chat box because it's not very generic. Professor Vinay, there's one question that, what are the particular courses, specific courses that mid-level managers should do or working professionals should take as a data modeler?
So for instance, we have come up with a 15-month program, and in this program, actually, the AI skilling is done by National University of Singapore, the School of Computing, and there is an immersion program that we take, and then they do this program. And essentially, the thing that we were looking at for this 15-month program was to see to it that these advanced tools, from an overall technology perspective, how AI is going to basically enable managerial decision making. That's the broad objective for designing the AI courses, and that's going to be delivered by NUS. So the point is, so it's not just prompt engineering or agentic AI or a course on that. It is like an integrative course that gives you, right now you have already a lot of decision support systems within the organization. For instance, you have an ERP system, and within ERP, and then there are a lot of other tools that you use. Now you are using AI also. So how do you basically navigate everything? Each of these systems should be talking to each other. And then finally, when you are able to use multiple skills, even the technology skills, that should give you a decision perspective, and that's the whole idea. So it's going to be about judgment finally, but the point is there should be a very good understanding about these technology tools and how the technology architecture should enable decision making. That's the whole idea. So curriculums are changing, and as I told you, there are some courses that don't get taught the way they were taught earlier, and there are some courses that, for instance, I'll tell you, there was accounting course that was taught earlier, and that is not accounting is not taught the way it was taught earlier. It is only taught from the perspective statement analysis. How do you deal with financial data? And that financial data should give you insights about decision. And that is what is the perspective with which you have to now teach. So therefore, curriculums are quite, rapidly changing, and even the way we deliver them, what type of delivery tools that we use. For instance, cases were used earlier a lot. Cases are still used, but simulations have become very important now. In other words, the classroom will have decision problems that mimic true decision issues. I mean, the type of volatility that managers deal in reality, the type of ambiguity that you really deal in real decision problems. So that needs to come out. So simulations are becoming very important. And much of the courses that are standardized, they can be taught through tutoring bots. So you can have agentic AI which develops tutoring bots, and these tutoring bots actually can teach the standardized things. And in the classroom, you do much complex things, where human skills are needed, technology usage, integrating both human and technology, and dealing with complex decisions. Those things can come into the classroom, and that's the whole idea.
Thank you, Professor. I am not getting into the questions that are very specific, on individuals asking what is the best course that they can do, or, these are very specific questions. So we are not getting into that. But I think we will conclude this discussion now. And I think the takeaways are like, we are in a very dynamic situation where technology is evolving. We have not come to the end word of AI yet, and yet human judgment and human emotional intelligence are going to be critical in decision making, and organizations are constantly investing, and courses are evolving from the academic institutions. So a very, very dynamic situation, and probably if we all meet again after even 6 months, we will be talking a completely different concept, I guess. Thank you so much, Geeta, Rosh, and Professor Vinay, for your time and for your thoughts. And I'm sure this was beneficial to everyone who attended the discussion. Special thanks to SRM Institute for co-hosting this with us. And thank you everyone for joining us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Soundarya. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for hosting us, Preeta.
Thank you.
Thanks, Professor Vinay, Geeta.
Thank you, Raj. Thank you, Geeta.
Bye. Thanks.